You ever pour your heart into something, thinking it's safe, only to find someone's torn it apart without a second thought? Like they own the place? That's what hit me when the HOA president drained my 3,000-gallon rainwater system, leaving our community garden bone dry the day before 32nd graders were set to show off their plants, not knowing I'd turn her own rules and a news crew against her. By the time she was helping those kids water their garden, she'd gone from tyrant to teammate, but it left me wondering if I'd pushed too hard to prove my point. My name's Ben Harper, and this is the story of how a Tuesday morning in Cedar Grove, a quiet suburb outside Tucson, turned into a drought-fueled showdown that changed our neighborhood and maybe even a heart or two. I'd spent months building that rainwater system, barrels, filters, pipes snaking 2 blocks to our community garden. A project I designed as an environmental engineer to keep the garden alive through Arizona's brutal droughts. It was my pride, not just for the tech, but for what it meant. A place where kids learned to grow food, where neighbors swapped tomatoes and stories, where we proved we could thrive without wasting city water. Cedar Grove was a tidy little suburb, the kind where folks waved but kept to themselves, except when the HOA, led by folks like Lorraine Carter, got involved. Lorraine, the HOA president, was a stickler for rules. Grass couldn't be a quarter-inch too long, mailboxes had to match, and don't even think about wind chimes. I'd always kept my nose clean, paid my dues, and thought the garden, which the HOA approved, was safe. Then I stepped outside that Tuesday, coffee in hand, and saw my tanks. Empty water pooling in the street like a cruel joke. Neighbors gawked, some curious, some embarrassed for me. "You okay, Ben?" My neighbor Joe called, still in his robe. "Does it look like I'm okay?" I snapped, pointing at the tanks. "Someone drained my whole system." He shuffled, avoiding my eyes. "Saw Lorraine with some guys in uniforms yesterday. Thought you knew." My stomach sank. Lorraine? Of course, the HOA. I found her letter on my counter, buried under junk mail, all about unapproved installations and aesthetic standards. I'd skimmed it, assuming it was another nitpick, not a death sentence for the garden's big opening tomorrow, where kids were set to show their plants to parents and a news crew. I was furious. Not just at the water, but at her nerve, thinking she could wreck something we'd all built without even asking. I stormed out to confront Lorraine, spotting her in her beige suit, clipboard in hand, snapping photos of my yard like she was building a case. "Lorraine," I called, voice sharp. She turned, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes, all hairspray and control. "Good morning, Mr. Harper. Just ensuring compliance." I pointed at the tanks. "You drained my system." She flipped through her papers, cool as ice. "Those containers violate Section 12.4, Exterior Aesthetics. They've been emptied, and you've got 48 hours to remove them or face a $500 daily fine." I was floored. "They're not garbage cans, Lorraine. This is a rainwater system for the community garden. The one your HOA approved." Her smirk faltered for a split second. "I wasn't aware of any garden connection." "Exactly. You didn't ask. You just decided they're unsightly and dumped 3,000 gallons we need for tomorrow's event with 30 kids." She straightened, unfazed. "The notice was sent yesterday. It's not my fault you ignored it." My phone buzzed. Clara, the teacher running the garden project. Her voice panicked. "Ben, the garden's dry as dust. What happened?" I glared at Lorraine. "HOA drained the tanks." Clara gasped. "The kids are coming tomorrow. Please, we can't let them down." I promised I'd fix it, but as Lorraine's heels clicked away, I had no clue how. This wasn't just about water, it was about her thinking she could steamroll us, her rules trumping our kids' hard work. I wasn't letting her win. I dug in, calling my neighbor Mike, a real estate lawyer, who was flipping burgers at his barbecue. Apron screaming, "Kiss the cook." "She drained them without warning?" he asked, spatula waving. "Well, technically, there was a letter, but I skimmed it, my bad," I admitted. He sighed. "Never ignore HOA mail, Ben. They live for this. But your system's environmental infrastructure, tied to a community project. Check city drought laws, they might trump her rules." I spent hours on the phone, bouncing through 17 transfers at the water department, until a shocked clerk confirmed draining a registered system during a Stage 2 drought was illegal. "Talk to Councilman Ortiz, he's on the conservation board," she said, clicking me over. My dining table became a war room. City ordinances, HOA bylaws, emails from neighbors like Janice, who got fined for a bird feeder at 80 years old, or the Pattersons, docked for loud wind chimes. Everyone feared Lorraine's lawn measuring day, ruler in hand like a dictator. Then Tom, a neighbor on the city's environmental committee, dropped by with a game changer. A notice from 6 months ago protecting registered rainwater systems. "Yours is registered. I did it for the neighborhood," he grinned. I was stunned. My system was untouchable and Lorraine had no idea. I hit the HOA emergency meeting, armed with Tom's notice and Ortiz's backing, ready to fight. The room was packed, neighbors buzzing about the tanks. I laid out the garden's purpose, the kids' work, the city's drought laws, but Lorraine shut me down, her smile tight. "We can't set a precedent. Those tanks could breed mosquitoes, lower property values." I fired back. "They're sealed, filtered, and registered. City law protects them." She ignored me, scaring the board with visions of compost heaps and car repairs. And my exemption got voted down 4-1. "Rules are rules, Mr. Harper," she said, not sorry at all. "Next time, get approval, you tree-hugging troublemaker." The room gasped, and she bolted, but Clara's call hit harder. "The kids are asking why their plants are dying." I wasn't done. Alyssa Chun from Channel 12 showed up, camera rolling, as I explained the tank's role in the garden, the drought, the kids. 3,000 gallons gone, because the HOA called them unsightly, I said, voice tight. Alyssa's eyes widened. "In a Stage 2 drought?" Then Lorraine's Mercedes screeched in, and she marched over, clipboard out. "Stop filming. This is private property." Alyssa didn't flinch. "Ms. Carter, did you order the drainage of a conservation system in a drought emergency?" Lorraine froze, caught. "We enforced our covenants. Mr. Harper didn't get approval." Alyssa pressed. "Were you aware city law protects registered systems?" Lorraine's face tightened. "This interview's over. You're trespassing." I cut in. "They're on my land, with my permission." She stormed off, phone out, as Alyssa promised the segment would air that night. My phone lit up. Hashtag HOA ruin was trending locally. But the garden was still dry, and time was ticking. I called my old college buddy, Nick, who ran a landscaping business. 2,000 gallons by tomorrow? He groaned. "That's a water truck in a drought. It'll cost you." I winced. "Whatever it takes. Those kids can't lose their garden." Next morning, I was at the garden by 7 a.m., pacing, no sign of Nick's truck. Clara arrived with 30-second graders, their chatter fading as they saw wilting plants. "Where's the water?" Clara whispered, panicked. I stalled, showing the kids the irrigation setup, dodging questions like little Sophie's. "Mr. Ben, wiry the plants droopy?" Her pigtails bounced, her logic cutting. "Why not give them water?" Before I could answer, Lorraine's Mercedes rolled up, clipboard ready to enforce her rules. Parents glared, whispers turning hostile. "The kids worked for months." I snapped at her. "We're not canceling because of your power trip." She bristled. "I'm ensuring no unapproved water sources." Then sirens cut her off. Not Nick's truck, but police cars. Officers Martinez and Reynolds approached. "We're investigating water theft," Martinez said. Lorraine pounced. "He's using an unauthorized system," but Reynolds checked his notepad. "Ms. Carter, you drained a registered drought mitigation system. City Ordinance 23.7 violation." Lorraine's smugness vanished. What?" I handed over Tom's papers. "Registered 3 months ago." Martinez nodded. "Ms. Carter, you're facing a $2,000 fine, plus water replacement costs." As she stammered, Nick's truck roared in, and he jumped out, freezing when he saw Lorraine. "Ellen?" Lorraine's eyes widened. "Nicholas." I blinked. "You two know each other?" Nick's jaw tightened. "She's my sister, haven't spoken in 12 years. Not since she tanked my landscaping business over water rules." The crowd gasped, and Lorraine's face fell, her control slipping away. The garden became a scene from a movie. Parents, teachers, even kids formed a bucket brigade, hauling Nick's 2,000 gallons to the beds, Sophie clutching her tiny watering can with fierce focus. Lorraine stood apart, clipboard useless, watching the community she'd alienated pull together. Nick walked over, voice low. "Ellen, you could help, instead of playing dictator." She flinched. "This isn't my mess." He shook his head. "You always say that, but sometimes you fix what you broke." Something cracked in her. She set down her clipboard, approached Clara, and asked, "What can I do?" Clara, unfazed, handed her a stack of watering cans. "Guide the kids. Don't let them drown the plants." Lorraine, still stiff, started directing, her voice softening as Sophie giggled, splashing her shoes. Alyssa's crew filmed it all, the garden reviving, kids cheering. Then Lorraine walked over, a tear in her eye, voice barely above the chaos. "I didn't know about the garden or the kids." I froze, caught off guard. "I had a landscaping business once," she said, staring at Nick. "Drought killed it, 15 years gone. Rules felt safer." I softened. "I didn't know." She nodded. "Easier to be the bad guy." As the cameras rolled, she announced an HOA environmental committee to support conservation, her voice steady but raw. "These kids deserve better," she said, glancing at Sophie. 3 months later, the garden was Cedar Grove's pride. My system got sleek wooden panels, blending with HOA rules, and 5 neighbors added their own, all approved. Lorraine led the committee, measuring water savings with the zeal she once saved for grass. At a conservation ceremony, the mayor praised her, and Nick winked at me across the crowd. The neighborhood felt alive. Less fear, more trust. Even Janice's bird feeder was back. But as I watched Lorraine guide the mayor, I wondered, was her change real, or just a new mask? Here's what keeps me up. Exposing Lorraine on TV felt right. She broke the law, hurt the kids. But was it too much, shaming her like that, even if she grew from it? She's pushing sustainability now, but is she truly sorry, or saving face? I'm helping other gardens, but should I keep fighting HOAs or focus on Cedar Grove? Yesterday, Sophie ran up, holding a tomato she grew, grinning ear to ear. "Mr. Ben, it's for you." That's the win, right? But is it enough? Or are we one dry tank from another fight? What do you think? Was outing Lorraine fair, or too harsh? Should I keep battling, or guard our garden? Ever faced a control freak like her? Drop a comment, tell me where you're watching, share your stories. Like, subscribe, and let's keep the water flowing against the crazy so you don't have to.